Henry Ford is credited with saying something, but I'm thinking it was said a long time before that. And the saying is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. In 2011, June 9 actually, I set sail on a 30-foot sailboat bound for Portugal, and I didn't make it. I was alone. And the first time that I had ever sailed beyond the horizon by myself in a boat was the first day on the way to Portugal. My first stop was Bermuda. My second stop was going to be the Azores, and then I was going to sail on into Lisbon, Portugal. About halfway to Bermuda, I ran into a very intense storm. And I kind of did it bare bones because I didn't have the money to have instantaneous weather information. I didn't have a lifeboat, couldn't afford one. And I was hammered for that. I did have a satellite phone, an Iridium satellite phone, but satellite phones only work if there's good sky. If there's cloud cover or if there's rain, you can't hear anything. So the night before the storm was the second night at sea, and I was maybe 250 miles off the coast of North Carolina. I was sailing from Wilmington, North Carolina to Bermuda, which is about 800 miles. About 250 miles out, the satellite phone rings. I answer it. They say, tomorrow you're going to go through a little bit of a storm, a little bit of a front. It's going to be 20 to 30 knot winds, 6 to 8 foot seas, no big deal. And I'm thinking, cool, this is going to be fun. 20 to 30 knot winds, I'm going to haul ass. I'm going to have a good time. A little bit of rain, no big deal. And it's in the summertime. So the next morning I wake up and I'm filming a documentary while I'm at sea. So instead of doing a written captain's log, I had that camera that I'm talking into mounted in the cabin of my boat, and I focused it out into the cockpit. And every day, twice a day, I would talk into this camera. So in the morning of the third day, it's misting a little bit. The wind's blowing maybe 15, 20 knots. Seas are starting to build a little bit, and I'm joking into the camera saying, oh, I'm going to go through a storm today. Big whoop. Well, about 4 or 5 hours later, it went from 15 to 20 knot winds to 50 knot gusts. Sustained winds about 40. The seas went from 6 to 8 foot seas to 20 plus. And Bermuda's there, I'm here, and the storm is in between us. And the storm is coming at me. Those waves, those 20-foot waves were coming at me at about 20 to 30 knots, because waves and storms travel very fast. So every time I was climbing a 20-foot wave, I would get airborne and the boat would just come crashing down. Everything was shaking, and I could feel it shaking in the cockpit. I could feel the mast shaking and just coming up into my body. And then I'd start climbing another wave. And then it would happen again, and again, and again. I tried letting go of the helm at one point to grab something to drink. And the boat almost capsized. So I was like, I can't let go. So I'm holding on to the helm. My other hand is holding on to this rack, and I couldn't let go. Well, after about 4 or 5 hours, the rain, and this rain, it's interesting that it's raining today because I thought about it all day long, but this rain that we have today here is, I mean, you can see across the street, even though it's raining a little bit. The rain that day was so heavy I couldn't see you. It was that thick. And then all of a sudden that stopped. I'm thinking, phew, I made it, you know? I made it through the bad part of the storm. This is cool. And I can just keep going. And then I focused on the horizon, which was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 miles away, and it was just this solid black wall. I'm thinking, oh great, I get to go through another one. Maybe I can just go around, and I turn all the way around, and I'm surrounded by a black wall. And I was like, what have I just done? I had no idea. And then all night long, the phone was ringing. the satellite phone would ring and I'd pick it up and I would hear static. And I would just hang it up. Everybody back home knew what I was doing because I had this little device, this little GPS device called a spot device. And every 20 minutes, my position at sea went to my Facebook page, went to 10 email addresses that I had set up, and my mother, who lost her husband, my father, 9 years prior in a boating accident in the Atlantic Ocean, was watching her son sail, her eldest son, sail into the center of a developing tropical storm. And I threaded the needle. I was damn good at it. I was right down the middle. So the rain stopped, and I'm sitting there thinking, what should I do? Should I turn around and run with the storm, which is a storm tactic? You can turn around and you can go with the storm. The storm's traveling faster than you are, so it'll eventually pass you by. But I didn't know. Well, maybe it's just, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I hear over the VHF radio in my boat, which you leave on 24/7, and VHF radios only have a distance to the horizon, maybe 10 miles max. But over the radio, I hear, sailing vessel Cuddy, this is Coast Guard C-2060, you read me. I was like, what? I'm 300 miles out almost. I grab my handheld radio, turn it on, and just about that time, I look up and there's a Coast Guard C-130 aircraft, 4-engine aircraft, right over the top of my head. And I said, this is sailing vessel Cuddy, I read you loud and clear. And he said immediately, are you in distress? Do you have engine power? Do you have an EPIRB? Do you need our assistance? And I wanted to say, hell yeah, get me the hell out of here right now. I'm jumping off the boat. But I didn't. I had engine power. And I said, I've got engine power, I do have an EPIRB, and I'm thinking about turning around and running with this storm. And he said, sir, that's a very wise decision, because on the other side of the eye wall, it's even worse. And I said, eye wall? And he said, yes, sir, skipper. You just sailed into the center of a tropical storm. I said, all right, I'm turning around the next wave. Well, I had never turned around on a wave before. I had never been in seas, I don't think anything more than 10 feet. I'd never been that far offshore, and I was by myself. But I am a surfer. And you're looking at me like, well, what does that have to do with sailing a sailboat? Well, I'll tell you. A month before I left the dock, my mentor, this guy who has sailed around the world, not by himself, but he's been at sea many times, and he's also a surfer. His name is Captain Tom Honig. And we were walking down the dock one day, and he said, you're a surfer, right? I said, yeah. He said, well, if you ever get into the position where you have to run with the storm, make your boat just like a surfboard. You said, take off and just start surfing. I was thinking, okay, thanks for the advice, Cap. Well, I didn't know exactly where to turn around the wave. Should I turn around the bottom? Should I turn around the middle? Should I turn around the top? I don't know. I'm just going to go for it. And I started climbing up to the top of this 20-foot wave, and just about the time I got to the top, I cranked down on the helm and spun around. And I started going down the face of the wave. Well, if you keep going straight down, you're gonna do that. So I turned into it and started surfing. And I got to the bottom of the wave and straightened her out a little bit. Coast Guard guy who's still flying around me said, nice maneuver, sir. I said, thank you. And I said, what should I do? Now I'm going back to the United States. And he said, well, I'll give you a weather update here in about 2 or 3 minutes. So he's flying around. He comes back on and says, sir, you need to keep going back towards the United States for about the next 12 hours. About midnight, everything will calm down, the wind will switch, and you can turn back around and head back towards Bermuda. And I said, well, I'm going back towards the United States. This is gonna add like a day or two to my trip. And he said, well, it's your choice. Just like in life. We all have choices to make. And I could have sat down and cried like a little baby. I could have jumped off the boat and had the Coast Guard save me. Or I could just keep going. I'm alive. Yeah, this sucks. This is hell. But I'm alive. And I'm learning something. Well, for the next 12 hours, that's what I did. I'd surf down a wave, straighten her out, turn around, and look and see what the next wave was going to be like. It would pick me up, and I'd go down that wave. And I did that for 12 hours. Well, after about 4 or 5 hours, I was tired. I couldn't let go of the helm. I was hungry. I had to go to the bathroom. And I actually did. Didn't really have a choice. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Well, I started getting to the point where I was not only tired, I was pissed. I was mad. I mean, I was angry. And before this trip, I was kind of an angry guy. I'm a completely different person because of that trip. Well, after 4 or 5 hours of that hellishness, and that's the way I saw it. I saw this as just pure living hell, and I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. I turned around to look to see what the next wave was going to be like, which I would always do. And what did I see? I saw 3 whales, 3 air breathers, surfing down the face of the wave that was approaching me. Just a little bit off port, off my left-hand side. And I'm thinking, they're air breathers just like me, and they're having fun. You know, I'm stuck here. And I use that word sort of critical of myself because I saw myself as being stuck. So I started having fun. About midnight, Coast Guard was right, turned the boat around, and I started heading back towards Bermuda. The next day, it was like a typical California day. Beautiful blue skies, hardly any wind. The waves were about this big. I was tired. And I let out the biggest, most blood-curdling scream you've ever heard in your entire life. And I just let it go. And that's what we have to do, right? We just let stuff go. Everybody have a good night.
It's really a nice day despite what you just saw. In order for me to come down there and turn on the camera and get this, or to get anything from down there, like charging the Iridium sat phone, getting a fork. What did I just do with my fork? Getting a fork so I can eat some canned goods that I toss up here whenever I go down there, and I forgot to do that this time, but I've still got like 3 or 4 cans. Because when I'm under sail, I have difficulty locking the helm and staying on course. I can do it when I'm motor sailing, but I've used so much fuel now fighting that storm yesterday. I burned through 3 jerry cans of fuel. Be thankful for what you got, damn it! I wasn't. If you work at Home Depot, thank them. If you got a wife and a kid, thank them. If you wake up next to somebody in the morning, thank them. I came out here to find peace. Oh my God, I found hell. Let's see what this says. Your best quality and your worst quality. You talking about me? What, my best quality and my worst quality? My best quality? Okay, I know what my best quality is. I just demonstrated it yesterday. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Quality. I get pissed off easy. You wear emotions on your sleeve, Frucci. You shouldn't do this. I'm real. This is real. This is who I am. I get pissed off, I let my emotions go out, and then I feel better. I was crying like a little baby last night, after it was over. That felt good. Letting emotions out like that, it feels good. I got nobody judging me out here. I screamed this morning. I woke up, I went about my business, shut the engine down, raised the sails, felt good about it. And then I tripped over a rope. And I went through yesterday. Nothing. Having to pull my reserve parachute 5 times, 2 bag locks, nothing compared to what I went through yesterday. Those bag locks, they happen just like that. Improvise, adapt, and overcome in less than 2 seconds. A day that I thought would never end. A sky like this, I thought I would never see again. Seas like this, they're choppy. But I'll take that. I'll take this over what I had. There are some people in this world, and you know who you are, that have trouble with the word relationship. Oh, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't like that. I have a relationship with my career. I have a relationship with this boat. I have a relationship with the sea. I have a relationship with God. I have a relationship with everything. Relationships are, that's what it is. You're relating to another thing. Person, place, or thing. It's a relationship. But now that I'm on the subject of intimate relationships, let's talk about that one, since that's where everybody goes when they hear the word. All right, so let's go there. The other ones are easy. You know what they are. Been married twice. And I'll take partial blame for them ending. I'm a hard person to handle. There's a lot going on with me. But in a relationship, we try to respect who each other is. Are. Something like that. I don't know. You get my point. The point is, don't control somebody else. I remember when I told him I was going to go skydiving, he told me that was stupid. And he said, if you don't have a reason to jump out of an airplane, don't jump out of an airplane. But then he said, if that's what you want to do, then do it. And I got your back. And he said he was proud of me. That's the cool thing about Dad, is he, even if he thought whatever you were doing was dumb in his mind, he would always support me. And I think he would say, just be smart, be patient, think about what you're doing, and it provides adapt and overcome.